Good morning, everybody. I'd like for you all to start looking at this blank screen and imagine it as a canvas, a place where we can put ideas and desires. And now I want you to look at this. This is called an enso in Japanese philosophy. It's a symbol for enlightenment, for movement, for development. Imagine taking a paintbrush with black sumi ink and drawing this perfect circle and leaving it just a little open at the end for future development. Now imagine an IoT grid waterfall falling in the middle of that. This is a personal expression of me and this class and how much it's done for me in my life and what it means. And then the name Oracle, which is a messenger from the gods, the connection between us and the divine. And lastly, 9000, my favorite sci-fi movie. You all may get the reference. So I'm introducing to you the Fountain Environmental System, Oracle 9000, Wellness meets Smart Room Technology. My name is JP Funk, and I didn't put my age on there, but I'm 59. And being that old, I have quite a wealth of experience. On the top right, you will see some of my professional things I've done in my life: artist, 3D inventor, worked in gaming and simulation in Austin, Texas, creator and musician. Been doing that my whole life. Audio visual installation, worked at the Paramount Theater and Austin Convention Center. And in the last few years, I've been getting into wellness, in addition to being a builder and remodeler. And some of my interests are film, sci-fi, and space. I've grown up with that. Philosophy has been very important to me. And I find that a lot through nature and science and how they're connected together. As a person gets older, you see the importance of giving back to society. So philanthropy is something that's really coming from my heart and becoming more involved in my future endeavors. And that involves community. And then coming and living and moving to New Mexico and learning so much about the indigenous culture, and discovering late in my life, I'm part Cherokee from my great grandmother. So the goal was to create a wellness invention for home. The challenge: how to integrate a water feature with IoT that includes sound, light, water as a functional smart home device with artistic appearance qualities while fulfilling the electronic functions. And I'm going to show you how we did this in the video. Excuse the technical difficulty. I was trying to get the video to go full screen, but landed inside of this, so. Is there a way to take it off of this desktop? Thank you. Okay, so welcome to the Deep Dive Boot Camp, Cohort 10. I'm going to do a little bit of a director commentary over this, since there's a limited audio. I started out with the basic design and then created a visual in 3D Studio. And then I had multiple designs and multiple ideas. And sometimes you just have to kind of settle on one to kind of figure out what direction you're going. And so after settling on that direction, it's like, okay, putting a list together of the electronics. Well, you don't put a list of the electronics together till you know what you're creating. So it's kind of like you work forward and backwards at the same time. So in this case, these are the electronics that I was incorporating for the features. And we started off with the argon, the MP3, relay for the pump, button for the water pump that you'll see, the BME, NeoPixels and ring, time of flight sensor, and a speaker for the MP3 player. And we start with the fritzing and the schematic. And so you can see here all the components that are hooked onto the little breadboard. And in my kind of design and electronics, I like to keep everything clean and tight. So that way, when I'm interpreting this into the design, I can see where all the wires are and have a very clear schematic to work from. And so the 3D printing is a key part to this invention. And thank goodness to the Bamboo Lab. That's an amazing machine. It's the first time I ever used one in my life. So coming up here, you'll see that the Oracle 9000 has 10 unique 3D printed parts. They're all custom fitted to precise measurement, water seal compartments. I did a little acrylic laser etched waterfall, and you'll see more here in the demonstration. Did a little pre-visualization animation to kind of get us started. That's what the finished product will look like. And so here we are looking at the internal components and where they kind of sit. So we can see where the sensors sit, the water pump sitting inside of the basin, the relay and electronics all sit at the very bottom compartment. The NeoPixels and LEDs kind of run through the rings. And then there's a touch sensor in front with a little hole that you put your finger in to activate the pump. Speaker that's mounted inside of the housing. And then the time of flight sensor, which was kind of like what the project was worked around for the functionality. So I kind of simulated here that green beam isn't actually a beam that comes out of the sensor, but I wanted to kind of visualize that there is a straight target of light coming out of, or the sensor shooting a laser beam straight up. And these are the 4 different zones for activating the invention. And you can see kind of like the first zone being at 70 millimeters, and the second zone, 70 millimeters. So I worked in 70 millimeter increments, which gave a good enough space between where your hand is, and then some little leeway. I didn't want to like have you raising your hand 4 feet. I wanted to kind of be within like a foot distance of the invention. And then you can see the pump button kind of nested inside of the housing. There were some certain challenges to addressing this, and you'll see those further in the video. And so how do we start any program in code? We start with the flow chart. So the flow chart is a simplified version of about a dozen flow charts that I created. There's literally a flow chart for every major function you see in the top panel for the BME, water pump, MP3 player, NeoPixel ring, NeoPixels, time of flight, and the Adafruit dashboard. And some of those functions are simpler than other ones. So what I was kind of taking us through here were the main functions, being the TOF and its locations, the water pump functions, and the MP3 player. And then being a Matrix fan, I couldn't help but. So I'm going to show you some of the code. And this kind of takes you through, these are the time of flight functions. And as I mentioned, there are 4 different zones. And every zone that you're in has to negate the other zones so that the function stays within that parameter. And so we have that set up with 4 zones and then a reset zone so that when you're outside of the zones, it's not interfering with the other zones. Then we have the MQQT, which hooks us up to the cloud and subscription and publish. And then my functions outside of void loop, which allow void loop to work really clean and efficient without having all this extraneous code kind of like choking up the what they call the function. And here we get to demonstrate the features.
My name's JP Funk, and I'm introducing the Oracle 9000 Fountain. The first feature I'm going to demonstrate is the waterfall feature with the touch sensor button. We can simply turn the waterfall off just by using the touch sensor button again. We can turn on the crystal ball with the first position with the time of flight sensor. Waving our hand again turns this feature off and changes the colors of the LEDs, the neopixels inside of the ring. The second position of the time of flight gives us the MP3 player on and off, which advances the tracks every time we start and stop the play. That start play, that stop play, the third position is adjusting volume off and on. That's volume off, volume on. The fourth zone turns off the neopixels. We're demonstrating the Adafruit dashboard for the Oracle 9000 Fountain. We're first going to go through the temperature of the BME is 72 degrees. Humidity is 30.58 and barometric pressure is 24.75. We have the rainbow on-off button that turns on the crystal ball. We have the MP3 player to turn on and off the track. And then we have the water pump. Then we have a reset button that resets the processor.
So this was a really good question for me. What is next for the Oracle? I feel that I really put all the time in all aspects of this project together to create a very viable working prototype. So I would like for people to interact with it and to give me feedback before I decide what I want to do next. I kind of feel like I achieved the initial goals for everything in code, in functionality, and in presentation. And so it's kind of an open question at this point. And I just had to kind of indulge myself in a little bit of this kind of flyby to show the artistic vision. That's the Oracle 9000 Fountain Environmental System. So I'd like to give a special thanks to C&M Infuse, the faculty, and IoT, Dr. Brian Rashaf, Reed Searle, EJ Ishman, and Christian Chavez for all their help during our time here. Wanted to do a special shout out for the Cohort 10, all the lovely and wonderful people that we got to know each other and work with each other for 8 months. the friends and family and community that have been supporting me and kind of behind the scenes. And lastly, here's my contact information. Thank you all so much. Appreciate being here. It's been an amazing experience.